At Calais, just 25 miles from the English coast. Well, these were the scenes earlier today as residents set fire to the tents and shelters before they themselves were taken away. Officially, the migrants are being dispersed to reception centres around France, but it's unclear how many have been left behind or whether new camps will emerge. Lucy Williamson reports.
Today, the eerie calm that has hung over the jungle broke. The ending of the camp telegraphed across the Calais sky. Shelters set ablaze, in protest perhaps, or resignation tinged with revenge. So far there's been very little resistance to this clearance, but the operation seems to be reaching a tipping point. Those who want to go have left. Those who are still here have a different point to make. At the camp's borders, those who still had homes inside watched and waited, held back by riot police. Officials say the fires have speeded up the eviction and that the clearance will be over by tonight.
We're seeing that after 3 days the migrants are here. 5,000 have come to this centre so far. There are still some outside. The last fires in the camp have convinced them. We've seen some Syrians who didn't want to come initially. They are here now. And community leaders who said that they also wanted to go, now that their communities had gone and there was no one left. So it's time to close. The mission was a success.
But in the past few hours, migrants have been filing back into the jungle to sleep among the ashes. Among them, we met Aziz. His friends who joined the buses out on Monday have told him it wasn't worth leaving, he said, and they were coming home to Calais.
I'm going back to sleep there. I know the jungle has been finished, been banned, nothing, but it's better to be there until tomorrow. If the police come, we are ready to go to the detention center.
And aid workers say the speed of today's operation has left some of the camp's most vulnerable with nowhere to sleep tonight.
In terms of the children, they are not all in state protection. We've counted so many who don't have the wristbands, cannot get into the containers, cannot go into the Jules Ferry Centre and have no accommodation whatsoever.
Officials say this is the last chance for migrants to leave before heavy machinery comes in. The story of Calais migrants is over, they say, but for those still determined to reach Britain, it doesn't feel like the end. Lucy Williamson, BBC News, Calais.
Let's speak now to Leonard Doyle from the International Organisation for Migration, joining us now from Geneva. Thanks for joining us. Do you think that this is the end, really, of people attempting to come to the UK? And just, looking at some of the numbers on, for example, opportunities here in the UK, why are people still wanting to come here rather than claim asylum in France?
Well, I think it's far from the end of people wanting to come to the UK. And why would they not want to come? It's a vibrant economy and a very welcoming place. But I think in terms of the terrible problems we've had in Calais, it's probably the end of the jungle, because there seems to be now a determination on the part of the French and British governments that this kind of running store should end. And after all, it's deeply affected the politics of both countries.
You say why shouldn't people want to come? The question surely, though, is that all those migrants are entitled to claim asylum in France, and yet they're in a safe country and they're not at threat. They shouldn't be presumably wanting to come to the UK. And, I've got numbers here on work and benefits numbers comparing between the UK and France, and there isn't a huge difference, is there?
Well, Great Britain was great for many reasons, and the culture of the UK is extraordinary, and people are attracted to it. They also have family links and links of language. They're hardly to be blamed for trying to improve their situation in life.
But that makes them economic migrants, doesn't it? Once they're in Europe trying to move across to simply betterment rather than just safety, which is what this asylum system was set up for.
Well, you did speak of migrants, and migrants typically are trying to improve their lives. If you're speaking about asylum seekers, of course, if their asylum claims are meant to be assessed in the country where they first land in Europe, but of course that system has been in disarray for a long time.
Do you think that the French dispersal system is going to work? Will they be able to claim asylum now quickly and easily in France, and will that alleviate this build-up?
Yeah, before getting to that point, I think you also have to remind people that unaccompanied minors are in a completely different status, and they have to be given special conditions and special treatment to avoid awful situations like trafficking. As regards the dispersal, it's clear that France has put a lot of effort into this. It's clear that it wants the problem to go away. It's creating political problems between the two countries. It's created a huge stir in the British media, which is, to a large extent, hyped up, but beyond all proportion. If you think of the numbers of migrants who passed into Germany last year, nearly 1 million. You have 7,000 only in Calais. So there's been a lot of needless hype. And indeed, the safety of migrants has been put at risk as a result of the standoff between the two sides.
Leonard Doyle from the IOM, many thanks for joining us. Now, we've been getting breaking news in the last half an hour or so that parts of central Italy have been hit by a strong earthquake, which is measuring a magnitude of 5.4. There are no immediate reports of damage, but news is still coming in, of course. The epicentre of the earthquake was reported to be in the province of Macerata, not far from the village of Viso, but tremors were felt over 170 kilometres away in the capital, Rome. Well, it all comes just 2 months after an earthquake destroyed the hilltop village of Amatrice and a number of other towns, killing nearly 300 people. Julian McGlary from the BBC is in Rome. What more details do we have at the moment, Julian?
Well, for now, we know that local authorities are trying to assess if this latest earthquake has caused any damage. From what we know, it's a 5.4 earthquake on the Richter scale, which is quite strong, not as strong as the one in late August, which, as you said, left 300 people dead. They're trying to assess whether some of the buildings that had already been damaged in that event in late August have collapsed now. I was just listening to an interview in local media with the deputy mayor of one of the towns that had been badly affected, and their attention now is on those buildings, the ones that had been badly damaged by the earthquake before and that could have collapsed with this latest one. So far, we have no indications of major collapses, but it was very strongly felt also here in the capital. OK, we will keep updated. Thanks very much indeed, Julian. Iraqi special forces say they've moved over 1,000 civilians from areas around the city of Mosul, the last bastion of IS fighters in the country. As Iraqi troops and Kurdish fighters continue their push towards the city, the militants are fighting back with scores of suicide bombers. Our correspondent Ola Garian reports from the frontline village of Fazilia, not far from Mosul itself.
In the skies near Mosul, Apache helicopters, armed with missiles but holding fire. The call to prayer echoes deep in the valley below from the self-proclaimed caliphate. The black flag of IS still flying here. But look at the other flags on the rooftops. Kurdish forces believe innocent civilians are indicating their locations, but they are also a human shield for IS. They have gathered families in a few houses, says Captain Ali Hassan. They have them surrounded. That's why we can't open fire or bomb with jets. Otherwise, we would have taken this village quickly. When it comes to taking Mosul, there are lessons to be learned in the villages further east. Time has already run out for IS here, but they've left evidence of their tactics. Drums of oil, which they use to create a smokescreen. The whole world is fighting for this, says Shukr Omar, a Kurdish colonel, and they are burning it. These books could be booby-trapped. Even the Quran has been elsewhere. We didn't lift the rocks to find out. Inside the mosque, bags of earth hidden from view.
That's very deep.
Here's where it came from. We descended to the depths of an underground layer.
These rungs are quite steep.
In this elaborate warren, IS fighters could live and move around, safe from airstrikes and surveillance drones.
Well, this was the sleeping area for one of the fighters. The ceiling has been reinforced. There are strong beams here, and there was an electricity supply. There were also some creature comforts. There's a fan here with Quranic verses written on it. And we also found this piece of paper. Now, it's a list of rules and regulations. There are rules for how you should pray on a Friday, how to pray when you travel, and how to pray before going into battle.
And the jihadis are emerging from tunnels like this to ambush Iraqi forces. This is just one tunnel in one village. Imagine what lies waiting under the streets of Mosul. Orla Gearan, BBC News, Northern Iraq.
The US presidential election is just 13 days away, and we're used to Donald Trump doing the unconventional. On Friday, he took a break from campaigning to officially open his new hotel close to the White House, no less. Mr. Trump cut the ribbon with family members on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington. He didn't miss the opportunity to urge voters to dream big and bold.
I'm tired of the excuses from our politicians. I'm tired of being told what cannot be done. I'm tired of people asking Americans to defer their dreams to another day, but really what they mean is to another decade. Enough waiting. The time is now. We can achieve our goals for this country, and we can do so more quickly than anyone ever thought possible. There is nothing we cannot accomplish.
That hotel opened today, of course. Well, Mr. Trump's Democratic rival Hillary Clinton has been campaigning in Florida. Mrs. Clinton spent her 69th birthday rallying support in the crucial swing state where polls suggest the result could be very tight. She attacked the negativity of her rival's campaign.
We have a lot of things to be for. It's about a common vision we share of a hopeful, dynamic, unified America, where everyone counts and everyone has a place. So I really believe it may be my name on the ballot, but it really is about all of you. Every issue you care about, every concern you have about our country or the world, just imagine that being on this ballot. It really does come down to who we are as a country.
The BBC's Kim Gattis is in Tampa, Florida, where Hillary Clinton is about to take the stage for the second rally of the day. Some way to spend your birthday. Kim, how does it feel there in Florida? It is a key state. Everybody is watching it. And why is Donald Trump not there? Why in Washington?
Demeaning language about women, religious groups.
Well, he's been criticized for this decision to open his luxury hotel in Washington, D.C. today, with the media here and pundits commenting on the fact that it is more important for him to talk about his brand rather than America. Perhaps for Donald Trump, the two blend in together. When he talks about making America great again, he points to his successes as a businessman, although, of course, his record as a businessman has also been come under scrutiny. And he had this billboard outside of his hotel or outside of one of the rooms where it said under budget and ahead of schedule, talking about how he had managed to open this hotel and build it under budget and ahead of schedule. And that's his message, that he can do things under budget and ahead of schedule for America as well. But at the end of the day, it is all about campaigning. And Hillary Clinton is taking this very seriously, not leaving anything to chance. The polls here are tight. She is ahead in some of them in Florida. Florida is a key battleground state. She has been here since yesterday. She'll be here today. She'll be back on Saturday. For Hillary Clinton, this is a key state, but for Donald Trump, it's a crucial state. He will not be able to win the White House without Florida. Hillary Clinton has many more paths to the White House than Donald Trump at this stage. And what the Clinton campaign is doing is trying to bank in as many early votes as possible. That is something that you can do in the U.S., vote early. And Democrats traditionally have a problem with turnout on election day. So Hillary Clinton and her campaign are trying to make sure that as many people as possible vote early. In Florida, in North Carolina, in Ohio, in all these states where turnout is going to be crucial. And they're expecting that before election day in a state like Florida, 60% of registered voters will have already cast their ballots. But this is going to be a tight race here in Florida. But overall, right now, Hillary Clinton is ahead in the polls in key battleground states, and a sense of how nervous the Donald Trump campaign might be is the fact that Mike Pence, his running mate, is today in Utah, a traditional Republican red state where in the last days of a campaign no Republican usually campaigns. So that tells you a little bit about what is going on today.
Absolutely. We'll be watching the numbers with you, Kim. Thanks very much. If you want to find out more, of course, go to our website. There are all the latest polls there, bbc.com/US election. Now, in the last few months, the BBC has been investigating a disturbing new phenomenon, the use of private or sexually explicit images to threaten, blackmail or shame young people. So-called revenge porn happens everywhere, but across parts of Africa, the Middle East and South Asia, photos shared on smartphones have collided head-on with traditional ideas about honour and shame. As part of this series, we spoke to a young Egyptian woman who sent a private dancing video to her boyfriend.
بنتبسط زي اي بنات طبعا، لان احنا ما عندناش اماكن نكون بنرقص فيها مع بعض او بشكل معلن يعني، فاحنا بنرقص مع بعض في اوضه مقفوله. كان علشان نوع من انواع الانتقام ان هو يستخدم الفيديو ده اللي انا برقص فيه مع صحباتي ان هو يفضحني، بمعنى الفضيحه. اتولدت في مجتمع محافظ شرقي تقليدي، فده خلى ابقى واحده من ضمن بنات مصريه كتير. اجسادهم تعتبر دايما ان هي نقطه عار لاهلها لو في حاجه حصلت لجسمها حتى لو تم اغتصابها. كان محامي الخصم بيحاول هو يتواصل معايا بشكل مستمر علشان يوصل معايا لحل وسط. انا اخترت ان خلاص طالما الفيديو خرج لمساحه ما هنقل الحرب من مساحه خاصه لمساحه عامه.
هو احنا مجموعة بنات اخترنا في يوم كنا بنتكلم عن ان احنا ملناش حقوق في المجتمع، عايشين على ان احنا بس ضيوف.
حضرتك يعني متضرر من خلع الحجاب البسه؟ انا اسفه يعني
ايه متضرر من خلع الحجاب البسه؟
الحاجه دي بين اي حد استخدم لينك للفيديو على اساس ان هو يقول للناس دي غدير احمد بتاعت ثوره البنات، هي عايزه البنات كلها تبقى بنات مش كويسه، وادي فيديو هو يقول ان هي بنت مش كويسه. انا جسمي ده بمشي بيه في الشارع، جسمي ده انا عايشه بيه، جسمي بنام بيه، بصحى بيه، باكل بيه، فانا جسمي بالنسبه لي ان انا اعبر عن فرحتي بيه دي مش حاجه وحشه.
That was Ghadir Ahmed from Egypt talking about standing up for the rights of women and girls in her country. Now, a look at some of the day's other news. And Russia has denied it formally requested a fleet of its warships to be refuelled in the Spanish port of Quetta. The ships are travelling near Spanish waters to the eastern Mediterranean. There had been concern from NATO countries that the ships would be used for air attacks in Syria. Activists say airstrikes on the rebel-held village of Hus in northwestern Syria have killed more than 20 people. Many of them were children. A school complex was reportedly among several locations targeted. It's not yet known if the raids were carried out by Syrian government or Russian warplanes. Thousands of white-clad protesters have taken to the streets of Caracas in a major opposition rally against Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro. It's the latest in the escalating political crisis that sees opposition leaders accuse President Maduro of running a dictatorship. Now, the novelist Paul Beatty has become the first American to win the Man Booker Prize for Fiction. It's one of the most prestigious awards in the literary world. He picked up the $60,000 prize at a ceremony at London's Guildhall yesterday evening. His novel, The Sellout, takes a satirical look at race and racism in the United States, telling the story of a young black man who tries to reinstate slavery and racial segregation in a suburb of Los Angeles. Well, I'm delighted to say Paul Beatty joins us now. Thanks for coming in and many congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How did it feel when your name was read out?
Yeah, it was a shock, and it felt good, of course. And yeah, I mean, it's such an honor, and it's a difficult book, and it's just so nice that people appreciate it. I can't tell you how great it feels.
Were you surprised?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Would you mind just reading out the first few sentences for me?
Yeah, sure. This may be hard to believe coming from a black man, but I've never stolen anything, never cheated on my taxes or at cards, never snuck into the movies or failed to give back the extra change to a drugstore cashier indifferent to the ways of mercantilism and minimum wage expectations. I've never burgled a house, held up a liquor store.
We will stop there, only because it then becomes slightly rude, language, if I can put it like that.
Yeah.
But just give me a flavour of the book for those who haven't read it.
Yeah, it's a little bit like what you said, and you've heard the phrase, fight fire with fire. He's kind of trying to fight racism with racism in a weird way, and using these really classical, historical methods of American racism to kind of empower and reinvigorate his community and put it back on the map. The town's been erased, and he's trying to figure out a way to put the town back on the map.
It is sort of very mocking and satirical, absolutely. And I wonder whether people, obviously, everyone read it in a slightly different way, whether you have to be non-white to get it in a way. But given what is going on, the extraordinary politics in America now, did you write it deliberately with the election in mind, given that was the background?
I wish I was that prescient, but. No, the book took me like about 5 years to write. I've been working on it for a long time, and it's been done for about 2 years. So it wasn't, it's a book about absurdity, and this election is absurd, and the American sense of decorum and all these things are just increasingly falling apart, and so it just kind of fits.
But I read one reference, for example, in a chapter to Mexicans, saying how everyone blames Mexicans for everything, and how ridiculous that is. Yeah. And given the Trump language on the wall, was that going on when you were writing it, or was it just?
Yeah, that's been going on ever since Latinos and white Americans have been in the same space about So I mean, there have been many attempts to send me and my girlfriend came up with the word Mexican, there's been, that's ongoing. And Trump is the latest in a long line of people trying to push people back to the other side of the border.
And as a writer, as a novelist, how much of a difference, first of all, does this prize make to you?
I don't know yet. I mean, I can't really answer that. I mean, it feels good, and then tomorrow's another day, and a year from now, I mean, there's going to be another winner, but it's...
But does it give you a sense of security? Does it?
Oh no, it's the security comes from that I worked really hard, and from that people have acknowledged that I worked really hard, and that's great.
But it makes the next few contracts a bit easier to sign and to feel that people will read it. Ultimately, I guess
that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. That's why I do it.
And in terms of having a voice, obviously we've had a black president outgoing now. Do you think he has actually brought about the change that people hope for, that he probably hoped for himself on the race front? Because we've seen, dreadful killings by police, all the controversy around that in the last few months.
None of that's Obama's fault, but that stuff that's been going on forever. And now, I mean, hopefully, thankfully, there's a spotlight on this stuff. And, for a lot of people, and it's not about color, but for a lot of people, this is nothing new, but there's an attention on that, something that merited attention long ago, and hopefully long after the attention dissipates, But
just in sort of 20 seconds, how are you going to celebrate? I know you said you didn't celebrate too much.
No, I haven't. I had 3/4 of a beer yesterday. I'm just going to chill. I'm going to eat a nice dinner and with my girlfriend, and we're just going to go out and have a good meal.
Fantastic. Yeah. I've got 2 books for you to sign for my children. Thanks very much, Paul Beatty. That's it. Bye-bye for now.